You wake up one morning, check your bank account, and nothing dramatic has happened. No lottery win, no viral business, no inheritance, just the same numbers you've been staring at for months. But here's what's strange. Something feels different. You can't explain it. You're making small decisions differently. You're thinking about money in a way you never used to. You're saying no to things you used to say yes to without thinking. And you're saying yes to things that used to scare you. Most people would dismiss that feeling. They'd scroll Instagram, see someone on a yacht, and convince themselves that wealth is something that happens to other people, to lucky people, to people who were born into the right family or stumbled into the right opportunity. But what if I told you that the signs of someone becoming wealthy almost never look like wealth at all? What if the real indicators show up years before the money does? Quietly, almost invisibly, and most people walk right past them without ever recognizing what they mean? My name is Max, and today we're going to go through the signs that you are secretly becoming rich. Not visibly rich. Not flexing on social media rich, but building something real, going somewhere most people never go rich. Stay with me until the end, because sign number 7 is the one that almost nobody talks about, and it might be the most important one of all. Sign number 1, you've stopped trying to look rich. Let's start here, because this one is the most counterintuitive sign of them all. Cast your mind back 2, 3, maybe 5 years ago. What did you spend money on? Be honest with yourself. Clothes that were slightly too expensive. Dinners at restaurants you couldn't really afford. A car that was a little nicer than necessary. Gadgets you didn't need. Nights out that left you checking your balance the next morning with one eye closed. And why? Not because you were irresponsible, but because looking successful felt important. It felt like proof that you were going somewhere. The problem is, looking rich and becoming rich are almost always in direct opposition to each other. Here's what Max noticed when he started studying wealthy people. Not influencers, not people performing wealth online, but genuinely, quietly wealthy people. They almost universally go through a phase where they stop caring what their lifestyle looks like to others. They drive older cars. They wear simple clothes. They skip the trendy restaurant and eat at home. Not because they're cheap, but because they've made a mental shift that most people never make. They stop spending money to manage other people's perceptions of them. The moment you find yourself not caring that your phone is 2 years old, that your car isn't impressive, that your apartment is modest, that's not a sign of failure. That's a sign of financial evolution. That's you beginning to value where your money goes over, what your money signals. The people who are truly on their way up are the ones who've detached their self-worth from their spending. That's rarer than you think, and it's one of the earliest indicators that something real is being built. Sign number 2, you think in assets, not purchases. Here's a question that will tell you everything about where you are financially right now. When you have money available to spend, what's your first instinct? If your first instinct is, what do I want? That's consumer thinking. That's the default setting that almost everyone operates on, and it's why almost everyone stays broke. But if your first instinct has started to shift to, what can this money do? That's the beginning of investor thinking. That's the mental rewiring that separates people who accumulate wealth from people who accumulate stuff. Wealthy people, and people on their way to becoming wealthy, have trained themselves to see money as a tool rather than a reward. When they earn, they don't ask, what did I earn? They ask, what can I deploy? You might not be buying stocks or real estate yet. That's fine. But if you're starting to look at a potential purchase and weighing it against what else that money could do, if you're starting to feel genuine discomfort about buying depreciating things, if you're starting to feel genuine excitement about the idea of your money working while you sleep, that's the shift. That's the sign. It doesn't have to be complex. Even moving money into a high-yield savings account instead of a standard one, even researching index funds for the first time, even reading one book about investing. These are all signals that your relationship with money is changing at a fundamental level. Assets build wealth. Purchases consume it. And the moment you start thinking like someone who builds rather than someone who consumes, you've already started crossing the line. Sign number 3, your circle is quietly changing. This one is uncomfortable for a lot of people, but it's real, and it matters. Think about the 5 people you talk to most right now. What do those conversations sound like? Are they about opportunities, ideas, goals, lessons learned? Or are they about other people, complaints, why things aren't working, why the system is rigged? You don't have to cut people off dramatically. You don't have to announce anything. But one of the most consistent patterns in people who go on to build real wealth is that their social environment quietly shifts, not because they become arrogant, but because growth changes what you need from the people around you. When you're working on yourself, when you're reading, learning, building habits, thinking bigger, you naturally start gravitating toward people who are doing the same. You find yourself more energized after some conversations and completely drained after others. You start protecting your time and your mental bandwidth in ways you never used to. And here's the thing, this doesn't just happen by accident. The people who become wealthy are often the ones who are intentional about their environment. They seek out mentors, online communities, books, and podcasts by people who've already done what they want to do. They use proximity, even digital proximity, as a tool. If your circle is shifting, even slightly, toward people who are building something, that's a sign. If you're starting to feel slightly misaligned with conversations about nothing, slightly restless when everyone around you seems to be standing still, that's a sign. That restlessness is your growth outpacing your environment, and that's one of the most powerful things that can happen to a person on the path to wealth. Sign number 4. You've become obsessed with your own education. Here's one of the most underrated predictors of future wealth. The moment a person stops waiting to be taught and starts choosing to learn. School teaches you to wait. Wait for the curriculum. Wait for the exam. Wait for someone to tell you what matters. And then most people leave school and keep waiting. They wait for their employer to train them. They wait to feel ready. They wait for the right moment to learn the thing they know they need to learn. But somewhere along the line, something changes in people who are becoming wealthy. They become voracious. They listen to podcasts on their commute. They read books that have nothing to do with entertainment and everything to do with understanding. They take free courses online. They watch videos not to zone out, but to absorb something they can actually use. This isn't about being a nerd. It's not about impressive bookshelves or intellectual performance. It's about a shift in how you see your time and your mind. When you start treating your own knowledge and skills as your most valuable assets, more valuable than any car, any outfit, any night out, you've started making the kind of investment that pays the highest compounding returns of all. Max talks about this a lot. The wealthy aren't smarter. They're not more talented. But they are, almost universally, more committed to the ongoing project of understanding the world they're trying to navigate. They read about money, about psychology, about systems, about history, because they understand that knowledge is leverage. If you've been spending your free time learning instead of just escaping, that's not a small thing. That's one of the most reliable early signs that you're on a very different path from most people. Sign number 5. You've started playing defense. Most people think getting rich is all about offense. Earn more, hustle harder, find the next big opportunity. And yes, income matters. But one of the clearest signs that someone is becoming genuinely wealthy is that they've started to pay serious attention to defense. What does defense mean? It means you've started tracking your expenses. It means you've created a budget, or at least some kind of system so you know where your money actually goes. It means you've started building an emergency fund so that when life inevitably throws something at you, it doesn't destroy everything you've built. It means you're thinking about insurance, about protection, about downside risk. This is deeply unsexy. Nobody makes YouTube videos going viral about emergency funds. Nobody flexes their spreadsheet on Instagram. But the people who go on to build lasting wealth almost always have this in common. They got serious about their financial foundation long before the money started flowing in at scale. Because here's the truth. It doesn't matter how much you earn if you can't keep it. And one of the biggest destroyers of financial progress isn't low income. It's financial fragility. One unexpected expense, one job loss, one health crisis, and the whole house of cards collapses. The people who make it are the ones who, quietly and unglamorously, built a base before they tried to build a tower. If you're starting to care about the boring stuff, budgets, savings rates, emergency funds, reducing unnecessary subscriptions, don't roll your eyes at yourself. That's not small thinking. That's the foundation of everything that comes next. Sign number 6. You've developed a complicated relationship with instant gratification. Let's be real. We live in the most tempting consumer environment in human history. Every app, every advertisement, every notification is specifically engineered to make you want something right now, to spend now, to click now, to feel the hit now. The ability to delay gratification is one of the most powerful financial skills a person can develop. And here's how you know you're starting to develop it. Spending starts to feel different. Not in a painful, white-knuckling way. Not in a, I can't have anything nice way. But in a quieter, more considered way. You start to feel the pause before a purchase that you never used to feel. You start to ask yourself whether you actually want something or whether you've just been manipulated into thinking you want it. You start comparing purchases, not just to each other, but to your goals. And sometimes, for the first time, your goals win. This is huge, because the ability to sit with discomfort, to choose future reward over present pleasure, is the mechanism behind every single wealth-building behavior there is: investing instead of spending, building instead of buying, choosing the unglamorous path that leads somewhere over the glamorous path that leads nowhere. You're not going to become a robot who never enjoys anything. That's not the goal. But if you've noticed that you're starting to hesitate before you spend, that you're starting to feel a kind of quiet pride when you don't buy something unnecessary, that's a genuine sign that you're rewiring your relationship with time and money in a way that will pay you back enormously. Sign number 7. You've started playing a longer game than anyone around you. And here it is. Sign number 7, the one that almost nobody talks about. Most people operate on a very short timeline. They think about this week, this month, maybe this year. Their financial decisions are made in response to how they feel right now, what they need right now, what they want right now. And that's not a character flaw, it's a default setting. It's how we're wired, and it's what the modern world is designed to exploit. But something shifts in people who are on their way to real wealth. They start zooming out. They start making decisions through a lens of years, not weeks. They start asking not, how does this feel today, but where does this leave me in 5 years, in 10? This shows up in small ways at first. Choosing to invest a small amount every month rather than spend it, even when the amount seems trivial and the reward seems distant. Choosing to build a skill that won't pay off for a year rather than stay comfortable with what they already know. Choosing to have uncomfortable conversations about money, about goals, about where things are headed, because they'd rather deal with reality now than be blindsided later. The long game is lonely sometimes. When everyone around you is making short-term decisions, playing a longer game can feel like you're doing something wrong. It can feel slow. It can feel invisible. Because the results of long-term thinking don't show up for a long time. But here's what Max wants you to understand. The gap between where you are now and where you want to be is not filled with one big dramatic leap. It's filled with hundreds, maybe thousands of small decisions made by someone who decided to start thinking differently about time. Every time you choose the asset over the purchase, you're playing the long game. Every time you choose to learn instead of escape, you're playing the long game. Every time you protect your financial foundation instead of chasing the next flashy thing, you're playing the long game. And every time you stay the course when the results aren't visible yet, that might be the most important play of all. Bonus sign. You're watching this video. Right now, I know that sounds like something people say, but think about it seriously for a second. The average person spends the overwhelming majority of their screen time on content that does nothing for them. Entertainment that disappears the moment it ends. Scroll sessions that leave them feeling worse than before they started. Videos that deliver a dopamine hit and absolutely zero change. You are not doing that right now. You sought out something that you thought might help you understand your financial life better. That's not nothing. That's a choice. That's data about who you are and where you're headed. The people who make it financially are not always the ones who started with the most. They're not always the ones who got the best opportunities, but they are, almost universally, the ones who decided, at some point, often quietly, often unremarkably, that they were going to take their financial future seriously. That decision doesn't announce itself. It doesn't come with fanfare. It usually looks like watching a video like this one, reading a book, opening a brokerage account for the first time, finally making a budget, having a real conversation about money with someone you trust. Small things, quiet things, things that nobody around you will notice for a long time, but things that matter more than almost anything else. The signs of becoming wealthy don't look like wealth. They look like discipline. They look like curiosity. They look like 100 small, boring, invisible decisions made consistently over time by someone who decided they were worth the long game. If you recognized yourself in any of what we talked about today, even one or two signs, that's not an accident. That means something is already shifting. Something is already being built, even if you can't see it yet. Don't rush it. Don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. Don't let the slowness of the process convince you that the process isn't working. Keep playing the long game. Keep making the small decisions. Keep choosing the future version of yourself over the comfortable version of today. Because the version of you that gets there, they're going to look back at moments like this one, the quiet moments, the invisible ones, the ones that nobody else saw, and they're going to understand exactly when it started. It started now. Tell me what video you want me to do next. See you in the next one.